Hello, everybody. The production costs of today's episode have been paid for by HeadBed. My guest today is Catherine Randabel. Catherine is the inventor of HeadBed, a Western Australian naturopath with a background in physical education, psychology, and naturopathy. She started her naturopathic practice in 1991 and has since built a successful practice blending various natural therapies, including remedial massage. Catherine's journey to inventing the headbed began when she observed that many of her clients experienced neck problems and headaches after visits to hair salons. Noticing the discomfort and potential health risks associated with hyperextension of the neck during hair washing, she was inspired to find a solution. And also joining us midway through the interview is Sandy Chong, who is the CEO and a board director of the Australian Hairdressing Council. She has significantly influenced the hairdressing industry in Australia through her extensive experience and leadership, with over 39 years of experience as a salon owner of Suki Hairdressing. Sandy has been a prominent advocate for hairdressers, barbers, and educators across the nation. A prominent advocate for the headbed, Sandy strongly supports the use of this innovative product in salons to enhance client comfort and safety. Sandy encourages hairdressers to adopt the headbed, recognizing its importance in preventing neck injuries and promoting overall well-being for clients, including stroke survivors. Catherine Randabel, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Bill. Looking forward to talking with you.
Thanks for being here. I really appreciate it. Just give me a little bit of background before we get started and really dive in deep to this amazing product that you have. Tell me a little bit about your background. What have you done in your life? What kind of work have you been involved in?
Right. Well, Bill, after school, I went to university to do a degree in physical education because I was fascinated with ergonomics and biomechanics and the human body. So I thought I was going to become a physiotherapist or maybe an exercise physiologist. And so that was my university days. And I just went on a little bit more and did more sports massage and nearly became a physio, but concentrated on natural therapies with an emphasis on ergonomics and remedial sports massage. So that's my background, and I've been in private practice in Perth, Australia, for since the early 90s. And
What kind of a practice?
it's basically called a natural therapy practice, naturopath, and I do a blend of nutrition, lifestyle adjustments for better health, and including into that remedial massage and sports massage when clients come to me with, musculoskeletal problems. And this is how the idea for my headbed neck protection device started, because of one of my clients.
Yeah, since we're talking about it, we might as well show it. This
Thank
looks
you.
like a croissant.
It does.
But
Well,
it's not a croissant. It wouldn't be that tasty as a croissant would be. But we'll talk about it in a minute, like more so.
that's
So
right.
how do you go from, like, what happens? How is the process that your head goes through? What is the process that it goes through when you decide that, as well as providing these
I'm going to
services as
invest
a
that.
naturopath, that you're
Yeah.
going to sort of
Mm.
find a way to support people going to a hairdresser? That's pretty weird. That's a bit strange that somebody would have that kind of a light bulb moment.
Well, it really was a light bulb moment. One of my most delightful clients and friend, Rose, in 2010, she came to me after a week of tremendous neck pain and migraines. And she doesn't normally have migraines, so she asked me to see to a remedial massage. And upon questioning her, she said that it started after she had been at a hairdresser. Now, Rose always was beautifully presented and coiffed, and her job was, dealing with the public. So she loved going to the hairdresser, but she hated the basin because she was so uncomfortable at the basin. And so with working with her, I was questioning. I said, well, was there something on the basin to help protect your neck or soften? And she said, well, I don't know. There was a little bit of a foam, like a little foam cushion, but nothing really comfortable. And after that, she really had this nasty migraine. So I went back to the medical journals. I started researching the Lancet Medical Journal, journals of neurology from America. And to my great shock and horror, I found out that there were reported cases of strokes for ladies who had been at the hairdresser. In actual fact, a New York doctor, a neurologist, reported on 5 cases of strokes following sessions at the hair salon. And they coined a term for it called beauty parlor stroke syndrome. So it's a recognized medical issue that can happen at the salon. It's a very rare, but when I read that back in 2010, the research, not only in Europe, in the UK, the Lancet Medical Journal, very prestigious. In 1997, the Lancet reported on a 42-year-old woman who had a massive stroke following a session at the hairdresser. So these instances were being recorded. So to my way of thinking, I was always a very practical person. I thought to myself, well, all you need to do is to support the weight of the human head. Now, do you know how much a human head weighs?
I think it
All right,
weighs about 4 kilos.
there we go. There we go. Oh, imagine if you take,
It does.
it is between 4 kilos for women and up to 5 kilos for men. It is extremely heavy on the end of a flexible neck. So when the human head reclines backwards over the sharp edge, the hard edge of a basin, there can be up to 20 kilos of pressure on the vertebrae and the neck muscles of the neck, supporting that cantilevered weight. So I thought to myself, it's a bit like a golf ball on a tee. You have a little tiny surface area, which we eventually, with design and research, we built in a little surface area, a platform, that when the human head reclines backwards, it rests. The back of the head will be supported by this little platform. So it takes all the weight off the neck muscles. And as you know, from the heart, the blood flow goes up the neck into the head and the brain. So little fine blood vessels go through some little holes in the neck vertebrae. And imagine, just for illustration, if this little straw is there, if you just kink the head backwards, what happens with a lot of these vertebral artery little blood vessels, they get kinked. And in that kink, there can be little micro tears on the inside. And that can be the start of damage, and it can be the start of little blood clots. So sometimes there was a lady in the UK about 3 years ago. She went to the hairdresser, felt unwell afterwards, and it was 3 days later that she had a stroke. So,
Yeah.
injuries.
I
Yeah,
know of people who have had a stroke because they sneezed. It caused a vertebral
yeah,
artery
yes,
dissection. I know
exactly.
people who have had carotid artery and vertebral artery dissections because of collisions where their head was
Like a
put
sudden
into
whip.
the whiplash situation, and the damage occurred on the day, but then the stroke occurred later on down the track, usually a few weeks or a couple of months down the road.
That's right, that's right.
And it's not uncommon to
Mm-hmm.
hear about it and to interview people about it. And I never knew there was beauty parlor stroke syndrome. And that sounds very similar to a syndrome that is spoken about in the um, forestry industry, where lumberjacks, as the Americans call them, look up all the time. And it's called lumberjack syndrome or something like that.
Correct,
And they cause damage to their blood vessels just because they simply have a lot of time looking up at trees falling down.
correct.
So this is fascinating that we are now for the opposite reason,
Yeah,
that potentially putting people's necks at risk
yeah. And
in
this is
the
where I came
hairdressing
from.
salon.
This is what it absolutely floored me, because I didn't realize that in the shampoo basin of most hairdressers, and hairdressers are the most caring, people person, but they all know that their clients are usually uncomfortable. So some of them support with one hand while they're doing the shampoo. Some of them put extra towels around the neck, but it's not the neck that has to be softened up. It's the supporting the weight of the head. And when I realized that, I started talking to some of the professional hairdressers here in Perth, in my city, and they all admitted to me they know it's not a comfortable position, but women want to have beautiful hair and they put up with the discomfort. But also, who knows how many headaches, how many sore necks, how many sore shoulders, pins and needles down the arms can be a result of being at the shampoo basin. Not necessarily the horrible situation of a stroke, but other health issues, because the nerve endings can also get pinched in the neck by that position of the head reclining backwards without support.
Yeah.
So when I thought about all that, Bill, I thought to myself, how come somebody hasn't done anything about it? And then my friend said, well, you have an idea, so why don't you follow up on it? And then that's how it started, 2010, and we did 2 years of research. So discussing with, the hairdressers here in Perth, and they told me what they wanted in a neck cushion, because they all tend to have neck cushions. So we devised a soft, flexible silicone cover for the neck, which fits into the curve of the basin. But the inventive step was to organize the head platform that was attached to it, and also the 3 little wedges, which gives it adaptability to move up or down. If somebody's got a very stiff neck, they're exactly right. You can, but a bit like Lego adapters, you can raise the head platform or drop it, depending on what the client needs, the person at the shampoo basin needs. So once you have the head support there, you take 20 kilos of pressure off the neck. And so the hairdresser also is very relieved, because they can do their job with peace of mind. They don't hurt their own hands supporting the weight of the person's head while they're massaging it. And we've designed it so that there's a lot less water can get past, so the person's neck is right against, it's medical grade silicone. That's why it lasts. Some of my hairdressing clients have had their headbeds for 9 years. Once they buy one, it's a highly sustainable product. It does not go to landfill. So we're very proud of that. We've chosen the best grade, medical grade silicone, because then that softness of the silicone just seals the neck and the water doesn't drip past into the person's back.
Yeah.
But
It feels really good on the skin. It feels really good to touch.
that's
And
right.
and it
That's right.
doesn't feel like it's very sort of like annoying. Sometimes you get some fabrics and some leathers and some things that are annoying. So as a male, like I've got no idea about this stuff because I very rarely get a, a, a head massage or a wash or anything like that, maybe twice in my life.
That's
And
right.
to be honest, I don't think it was an amazing experience, but um, I've forgotten about it because what I remember is, how nice it was to have my hair washed and then not to have to worry about hair going all over the place and all that type of thing.
It should
So,
be a beautiful experience. It should be a most relaxing, beautiful experience.
yeah. So you're
But
saying that there was products or there are still products, probably not the headbed, but other products that are similar to that hairdressers have always tried to use to always try and make it more comfortable for their clients.
Yep. The inventive step there was nobody, and this is what a hairdresser said to me at one of the trade shows I went to. She said, how come one of us didn't think of that? But that's because I've got the sort of more anatomy and physiology and the health background, which it became so evident to me that all you needed to do was support the weight of the head. What they were trying to do was just put a bit of cushioning around the neck. But the problem is the weight of the head hanging backwards is
Yeah.
what puts the terrible pressures on the blood vessels, the nerves, and the whole structure of the neck. So once I got that incorporation of the head platform into it, and I was helped by beautiful hairdressers here in Perth and also a wonderful product design engineer, Mr. Cliff Green, he just nailed what we were trying to achieve in getting the minimal surface under the head of the client so the hairdresser can do their job easily. 95% of the head is free for shampoo, and a little tiny surface area taking all the pressure off the neck because the weight of the head is supported. So,
and the thing about it is you're a preventative person, right? You're all
that's right.
about let's fix what's wrong, but also let's prevent things from
Prevent.
happening.
Exactly.
Whereas
Prevent injury.
hairdressers about about hair,
Yes,
about fixing hair.
exactly right.
They don't
Exactly.
see injuries every day. They don't see people who are trying to fix things. They just see people who want a haircut and want colors or whatever they want.
Correct. Yep. Yep. So they are trained to look at that side of things. And as I say, 99.9 of women and some men absolutely love having the salon experience. But from my point of view, it has to be a safe experience as well. And when you have a headbed on the basin, it becomes comfortable. And once it's comfortable, it's safe and it's enjoyable. And often some hairdressers have said to me, they can it benefits their business because people refer their friends back to their salon, but also they can offer more services. They can offer eyebrow tinting, do things to eyelashes and waxing and all sorts of extra services with the person comfortably reclining in the shampoo basin. Before that, they'd go, no, 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 enough, I'm uncomfortable, I'm getting out of there. So
Okay. So there's also in the uncomfortable position, there'd be a time limit as well that I
time
would put
limit,
up with that.
that's right, they just want to get out of there as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
But you're saying with men, more and more men now go to barbers. And in actual fact, in 2016, a 42-year-old young man had a stroke from being at a barber. So it was reported again in the media over there, and it was a massive, they sued the salon for hundreds of thousands of pounds. So not only it's traumatic to have the injury, I mean, it's, as you know yourself and all your listeners know, it's a life-changing injury to have a stroke, but the trauma and the rehabilitation, and then you have medical bills for many years following.
Oh,
So all that, if you can prevent all that right at the start, do not let the human head hang backwards into a basin without head support.
yeah.
Then you
I
can
agree.
avoid so
I
many.
agree. Tell me about so who buys this? Do only hairdressers buy it or can I buy it? For example, I go to your website or to your supplier, whoever, and if I want to take a preventative step as a stroke survivor because I've already had a brain injury, I don't want another one, and I wanted to just get my own because say my hairdresser didn't know about it or didn't buy one or doesn't have it, would
Yeah.
I be able to buy one from you and bring that to my hairdresser's appointment?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I've had many of my own clients from my practice say, fantastic, Catherine, we'll buy our own. And any salon we go, and especially some people who travel a lot or people who caravanning around Australia or the States or Europe, they bring their own headbed with them and make sure you have your three little adapters with you and just explain to the salon owner, I said, please, if you put that on your basin, then my head can be supported and I am safe. So, yep, you can get one through the website. I also have some wonderful distributors in Australia. There's a great organization called Sustainable Salons, and they're members, and they support products that are not throwaway, and they recycle human hair and foils and plastic bottles. So it's a big organization of hairdressing salon members in Australia, Sustainable Salons, and Sandy is a great supporter of their work. So they sell my headbed. I've got a distributor in Queensland, in Brisbane, but in Europe is probably the biggest distributor that we are very lucky to have, a French company called Cinderella. So you just look up our website and on there will be the list of all the distributors we have if you
Yeah,
want to. But
what was
salons,
yeah
90%.
you mentioned you mentioned Sandy. Sandy is the CEO
Oh,
of
sorry. Yes. Sandy Chong is the CEO of the Australian Hairdressing Council.
Okay. And we're going to be talking to her in a little while. We're going to get a little bit of feedback from a previously a person who was a hairdresser for many, many years and now has moved into this particular role. And we'll get some information from Sandy as well. So what you're saying is that a lot of people buy this, put it in their luggage and travel with it because they can just go to one of the websites and pick up one. What do they cost?
If you've had a stroke and you're in recovery, you'll know what a scary and confusing time it can be. You're likely to have a lot of questions going through your mind. Like, how long will it take to recover? Will I actually recover? What things should I avoid in case I make matters worse? Doctors will explain things, but obviously you've never had a stroke before. You probably don't know what questions to ask. If this is you, you may be missing out on doing things that could help speed up your recovery. If you're finding yourself in that situation, stop worrying and head to recoveryafterstroke.com, where you can download a guide that will help you. It's called 7 Questions to Ask Your Doctor About Your Stroke. These 7 questions are the ones Bill wished he'd asked when he was recovering from a stroke. They'll not only help you better understand your condition, they'll help you take a more active role in your recovery. Head to the website now, recoveryafterstroke.com, and download the guide. It's free.
Well, in Australia, they're about $98 plus the postage. But in America, it's just adapted. We have an agent in America, so you can buy it off the website over there. Lynn Sheffield will help. But at the moment, 90% of our clients are salon owners. So they buy it for their salons. But definitely we have about 10% of people who are just ordinary individuals who would like to have this as a safety device that they can carry with them and present it to the salon they go to and just explain a little bit. The hairdresser can look online at the video because it will fit 95% of basins. Some basins are a little bit different in their shape, but that's why we made the headbed with such flexible silicone. It's very, very adaptable. It's very soft and it will bend. But the thing that is not sort of bendy is the firm head support. But the rest of it will adapt to most curves of the neck curve of any basin in a salon, in a shampoo basin. Yeah.
So the American distributor, do they sell direct to public, or can public just buy it from a different location? Where do they have to buy it from?
Well, she will post it out to anybody who goes on the headbedusa.com website, and you can order online. I'm working with a gentleman in Los Angeles who's looking at becoming a distributor. So we're just trying to, find more ways of letting people know that there is a safety device there that should be on just about every shampoo basin around the world, because you want to avoid the potential for an injury. And it's
Is $100 expensive for a hairdressing salon to put on their little basins?
Not at all, not at all. I mean, a pair of good scissors, hairdressing scissors, is several hundreds of dollars.
Okay.
A shampoo basin is several thousands of dollars. And another thing that I've been so proud of is often a hairdresser would say to me, we knew our basins were uncomfortable, so we were thinking of replacing the basins.
Oh.
And that's thousands of dollars. She said, but when we put our headbed on the uncomfortable basin, the clients became super comfy and asked, oh, did you change your basins? Because it haven't worked out what the difference is, but they realize that they are suddenly more comfortable. So for a small investment of, I think in Europe, it's about 150 euros or so for the headbed. And our distributor sells it with their new basins because it's part of, the package, because they know it makes their Cinderella basins much more attractive to buyers because of the comfort that the headbed being on it provides.
So you have a partnership with a manufacturer of a basin, and that's the perfect marriage, isn't it? That's the most ideal situation. But then for people who have already had their
Yeah,
basins installed, it's no big deal because then they can just get something and implement that for like
just
compared to the cost of scissors, like next to
not even,
nothing.
that's right, not even $200. I mean, scissors, and then all the, the hair dryers, the equipment, the salon furniture. It's very expensive. Whereas this is a not an expensive solution to, first of all, making the basin safe and comfortable. And then from there, as I say, very often the hairdresser reports that they can actually have more business because their clients are so comfortable, they accept to have more services done at the basin, not realizing that, wow, I could fall asleep here. Whereas before, all they wanted is, please shampoo, rinse my hair, and let me get out of there and carry on with the cut and the blow dry. But the shampoo experience itself should be, as you said yourself, it's such a wonderful feeling to have a head massage, and it should be very relaxing,
Yeah.
and it should be safe. That's where I come from the safety, health and safety point of view.
Yeah, I love it. We're going to pause for a moment and we're going to bring Sandy on and we're going to have a conversation with Sandy. And then you and we're going to continue the conversation after we've spoken to Sandy. So let's pause for a moment and let's bring Sandy on. Sandy Chong, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Good to
Thanks for being here. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. Can you start by giving us a little bit of a background to what you used to do in the past and what you do now?
Okay, so I am a hairdresser and I also did own my own salon for 38, 39 years. But I don't do that anymore. I've sold that. I am the CEO of the Australian Hairdressing Council, and I've been that since 2012, I think. So my role is actually representing the hairdressing industry when it comes to lobbying and advocacy work. But more than anything, we do, I guess, advise and nurture our small businesses. We recognise ethical business practices within the hairdressing industry. And I think that's why and how we actually came across, Catherine and her product, because of what her product does when it comes to taking good care of our clients and having the best interests of our clients' health and well-being while they're in our salons and definitely at the basins. And so that's how we came across Catherine 10 years ago, that would be, because Catherine comes under, definitely ethical business practices, which is something that we recognise in our industry.
It's really interesting to say that you guys practice ethical business practices in hairdressing because you can see I have a number one and I'm not sure like what level of ethics you need to uphold to be able to do a number one. And I never connected my hairdressing experience with that. How is it that came to be? Why is that a thing?
Well, the thing is with the AHRC, ethical business standards come under an accreditation process when it comes to our businesses. So there are certain standards that we accredit them on or recognise them on. So management operations is one, client services presentation, for instance, which is what this would come under, because OH&S comes under as well, work health and safety. And then there's marketing, employment practices, and then we're also very big on sustainable practices. So we have salons who've reached their accreditation. We call them gold or silver salons. And it's our way of recognising that they go above and beyond when it comes to business and taking care of their clients as well as their staff.
I like that. So the occupational health and safety stuff kind of trickles into the care and safety of the customer.
Absolutely. As well as our employees, we want to make sure that we're taking good care of them.
I never considered that there was a possibility that somebody could get injured at a salon. Maybe because I only ever get a number one, I can't ever really get cut or snipped or anything. But I imagine there are some possibilities for some serious injuries if people aren't careful.
Well, I think there's possibility for injuries in any trade if someone is not careful, but be mindful that, yes, you do have a clipper cut. However, we use chemicals and we also use sharp objects as well. And there's also the mental health side of that and our physical health. So to be a hairdresser, well, then you need to be physically healthy as well. When it comes to mental health, there's quite a bit that you'll hear in the media about being an accidental counsellor. And so sometimes, lots of clients will dump all their stuff on us. We need to make sure that our mental health is resilient and that we do have that we're mentally well, so that we can definitely handle, I guess, any situation with any client who might be telling us their issues, their problems, etc. At the end of the day, we feel that our hairdressers deserve the respect from consumers or customers. But on the other hand, we also want to make sure that we are 100% taking care of the well-being of our customers as well.
And that brings us to this little beauty here.
Absolutely.
So I've had the pleasure, Sandy, of sitting in a hairdresser's salon and having my hair washed just probably once or twice in my life, because I went to get a haircut and I couldn't be bothered going home and having a shower, that kind of situation. And they washed my hair and it was a real treat. It was a bit of a massage, it was warm. And I walked out and I never had hair all over the place that was scratching my back and all that type of stuff. And it was quite an uncomfortable experience. But I've got to say that before my stroke, I never considered that there was a possibility that somebody might go to a hairdressing salon and potentially damage a carotid artery or a vertebral artery simply because of the position that their head was in. I don't believe that the design of the basins are specifically going to cause that issue. I feel like there may often be an underlying issue that people aren't aware of that kind of just gets exacerbated. And I say that because I've met people who have done damage to a carotid or a vertebral artery by sneezing, others by driving a car and being in a minor collision and having, that whiplash movement. So I don't see that the basin is going to be like a risky place to be, but it has been known to cause a couple of issues for some people. And there's some evidence to suggest that more should be done to support that. In your time as a hairdresser and now in your time as CEO, have you seen any of those injuries?
Look, I don't think that I have really seen those injuries, okay, but in my own career, as in my own salon. But one thing I will say is that I think that it can contribute definitely to an injury. And in my career, well, I had my hair shampooed all the time. And a shampoo experience, a basin experience, is meant to be quite luxurious. And, sometimes, most of the time, and it should be where you lie down, it's your time out, it's your escape from reality. You've got someone who's giving you a lovely head massage. In our case, we used to actually get trained, our hairdressers were trained by kinesiologists. We would do the ears, the neck and everything. So she actually showed us the correct way to massage a neck. Now, I have had my hair shampooed as well and had a really bad experience where someone presses the head down. And if they're at the wrong angle, it's incredibly painful, like really painful. And you could have a painful neck, for the rest of the week or even longer. And you need to see a physio like Catherine or an osteo, etc. I think the one thing that I should say is that as a client, make sure you're comfortable. Make sure you do wiggle around. If the basin's too high, too low, make sure you're comfortable. Now, a good salon really spends well on their basins, on their basin area, okay? And so, make sure you're comfortable. Make sure that you have got padding underneath your neck. In our case, as I said, we used HeadBed for the last 10 years. And I totally and absolutely swear by it because of the fact that it was designed by a physio. Then what better product to put in your basin area? But I think from a consumer's point of view, a client's point of view, one, be comfortable. Don't lie there and think, oh, this is really uncomfortable. Tell them. And from a hairdresser's point of view, they really need to be aware that there are better techniques in massaging and making sure that the pressure is not on the neck and they're not pushing down on the head, but they're massaging up and taking that weight away from the neck. So I've actually experienced some of the most luxurious, oh my God, amazing, I just want to purr if I could do that. If I knew how to purr, I would do that. When I have a beautiful basin experience. But then again, I've also had a painful one, which my concern is it would lead to exactly what you're saying, a stroke, or it could almost certainly affect the neck and your neck health, leading to a stroke after the event as well, after the experience.
You hear sometimes chiropractors get a hard rap because they do neck adjustments, and people will then report that they've had a stroke and they blame it on the chiropractor. So whatever the situation there is I can't imagine it's a good experience either for the person providing the service and then for the person experiencing like a neck trauma or a stroke. That's the last thing that any hairdresser would want to generate or create or be responsible for creating to one of their patients. So what happened when somebody comes to you and says, I've got a product, there's a possibility that this is going to make your customer's experience better. Were you running these products, the HeadBed, while you were a hairdresser in your salons?
So as soon as HeadBed was released, we embraced it immediately. And I think because I saw the value, in protecting our clients' necks. And, I think that every salon, as long as the HeadBed will accommodate the shape of their basin, and my understanding is it does for most of the basins that are out there, I really do believe that every salon should have these in place, and it purely comes under work health and safety as well.
Yeah. What are the implications if somebody does get injured? Now, maybe not from the HeadBed, but from another situation. What happens? How do you manage that as a hairdresser and as the council that supports hairdressers? What's the path that people need to go down to get some kind of a resolution or an outcome?
So if we've got a client who had damage on their neck and it came from a basin experience, then I think it's part of our duty of care to do the absolute best that we can to see how we can assist and help in any way. Obviously, the first thing is to go and seek medical help. And I think that it's in the best interest of the client and also the hairdresser to keep in touch and not just go, see you later. None of us really want to do that. If we were accountable or responsible for giving any client pain, we would want to just make sure that everything was okay and they were okay, after the visit. I think that it would not be, it would lack integrity if you just sort of said goodbye, see you later, and or the very best, good luck. But we would hope that the client would also make sure that the salon is well informed. Now, every salon should have work health and safety procedures and policies in place. Is it necessary to have something around the basin in your work health and safety? I think part of that is making sure that your client is comfortable and that you do have a good massage technique in place and that you're very aware of any client who is uncomfortable.
Yeah. I suppose it's just really making sure that the staff understand that everybody's neck is different, that people's necks are different, that people have a different experience, and that different sizes, shapes, heights, length necks all change the way that a client might feel when they're getting their head washed or a treatment put through it.
Oh, they're all different shapes. And look, as a business owner, we know what we want. We want the absolute best for every single person that walks in the door. I think where it does come undone, though, is making sure that every employee is well educated around that and that they are always attentive when they are providing the service, and that they're not unaware. As like when you're aware of something, you're aware that you're always aware of just, watching for body language, watching for someone who screws their face up and they might be feeling a little bit uncomfortable. So it's important that they give 100% attention to that client who is in the basin, look for anyone who is uncomfortable. I think that every business owner is very committed. Our challenge, of course, is making sure that every employee has that commitment, that understanding, that training, that education, and also that awareness with every single client that they take care of as well.
Yeah. Hairdressers have public liability insurance. I imagine that this would be a sight for sore eyes for the insurer if they were able to see that the hairdresser has gone and implemented something to minimize the risk of injury. As far as the cost is concerned, is it how good is it to be able to spend $100 or thereabouts to create such a massive improvement in the safety of your clients?
Well, prior to HeadBed, we would use these other foam products and they disintegrate and crack in no time. And so with HeadBed, you just have it for years. I mean, it's like almost a single investment and you have them forever. In fact, Catherine could correct me. I think in 10 years, we might have reordered once, which is probably really bad repeat business. It's not very productive. You need to make them disintegrate or something, you know, a little bit sooner. So it's not great for repeat business. However, you know, if there's 12,500 salons in Australia, there's a few more than that that actually did have HeadBed, well, then that would be a really great solution. On top of that, 70% of our industry, you know, over 20,000 are single operators, they're sole traders. They could be working from home or they might be working in a hybrid salon. And, you know, when you look at the amount of hairdressers that are out there, if they really considered putting HeadBed in, then, you know, potentially, you know, you'll be looking at 20,000 of them out there in the industry. Most salons have between 3 and 5 basins. Some have 2 lots of 5 basins. And really HeadBed should be in every one of them because it is part of a work health and safety strategy and policy and a procedure. And, you know, for the safety again, and also for your duty of care, I think it's something that should be seriously considered by every hairdresser in every salon in Australia, and including the barbers as well.
Yeah, the barbers, they're starting to really take off in big numbers now. You see barbers everywhere. I was wondering, like, how would it go if a client turned up with a HeadBed and went to their salon with it? Like if I bought one and went to my salon and said, can you, before you wash my hair, can you please put this on the basin? How do you think that will go down?
Oh, look, I think any hairdresser would accommodate. Just make sure that that it actually fits their basin though. So you might need to go in prior to that, okay, and just check that it does check, because basins are sort of, sometimes they can be strange shapes. And in fact, the one that I find the most difficult has a very wide neck shape. So it's very difficult to not wet the neck and wet the clothes or whatever. And so you need to really make sure that the HeadBed does fit the basin. But I don't think any hairdresser would not accommodate that kind of request. In fact, it's probably not advisable for them to not accommodate, because if something did go wrong, then they're certainly liable.
Yeah. Well, hey, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast, Sandy. I know that you've got lots of stuff to do. So at this point, we'll let you go back to your day.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. And I just want to say, hope that you're well now. And also congratulations, Catherine, on, you know, designing such a brilliant idea for the hairdressing industry and also our consumers. It's really important. So congratulations and thanks again.
All right, Catherine. So that was an amazing conversation with Sandy.
It really was. And I am just so grateful for the Australian Hairdressing Council. Most of their members are well equipped now. They all have their HeadBeds in their salons. But like Sandy was saying, there's many salons out there and home salons. People work from home. And the more they know about the HeadBed, the more they can certainly invest in being properly equipped for their basins. Yeah.
I don't often think about occupational health and safety when I go to a hairdresser. That's the interesting part of the conversation that we had, is that, you know, there's a duty of care. People at the hairdressing salons are thinking of things that I wasn't ever aware of that I'm not thinking of when I go to a hairdresser. I just always thinking about, is there an appointment? Do I have to make an appointment? Can I just come and sit down? Or what the deal is? And then I want to get my hair cut, and then I want to get out of there. Most of the time I want to get out of there because I want to go home, wash my hair, and get rid of all the junk out of my hair. And I very rarely, like I said to Sandy, I very rarely sort of said, can you please wash my hair for me? Because I don't know, it's just something I don't do. And I, I don't think of that. I don't think it was an uncomfortable experience, the times that I did have my hair washed, but I am pretty certain it wasn't fun. Like, I don't think I could have sat there for ages and enjoyed that experience. And especially what you said earlier in our conversation with the fact that the head becomes 4 times heavier in that bent back position. That's pretty crazy. And now that I've had a brain injury, I don't want to have any more. And I've
And
very
Bill,
happy to avoid them.
when you think about it, you've got a number one haircut. Most women have got much longer hair than that.
Yeah,
And they spend a lot longer at the basin.
as well.
And sometimes there's different colors that are put through the hair. So there's foils, there's different colors, there's rinsing several times, there's shampooing several times. So it takes a long time being in that bent back position at the basin with all the pressure against the back of the neck, with all the muscles of the neck holding on for dear life. And very often ladies start to like slide down the chair to try and straighten up their neck and their head because it gets uncomfortable. And the hairdresser can't do their job properly. Then they go, come back into the basin, put your head back. And so it's that constant issue of good body alignment, because most hairdressers, chairs and basins adapt. They tilt a bit and the chair can go up a little bit, but it was still not enough because the head was just hanging back into the basin.
Most of the chairs that I've seen in front of basins are pretty dodgy chairs. You know, they're just the the chair that they got from down the road, or the one that's been left over from wherever, and it was never adjustable. It's always just slid in front of the sink, and then you hope for the best. You hope to sort of it fits one size fits all, and you hope that you're going to be able to get your head in there.
But more and more, like Sandy was saying, good salons have got a proper basin and chair setup. So it's all electric and it's reclines and all sorts. So most salons are aiming towards that because they know clients have to be comfortable at the basin. So now for just a few $100s, a tiny little safety device can completely change the experience and make their clients super comfortable.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's totally legitimate when my wife was going to the hairdresser and still does, and says, and I look at my clock, 3 hours later, and I was like, where is
Yeah,
she? Where is this woman? So
correct.
it's all legitimate because all those
All
steps,
these steps,
they
that's
take
right.
time, washing, etc.
Absolutely. No, it's quite an involved process. And hairdressers are very, very proud of their trade and very caring people. And once their client gets to the basin, they know it's not usually quite a comfortable place. And most of them try and take great care. But now with a headbed on their basin, it should make their life so much easier as well. Yeah.
Yeah,
So it's a
that's great.
win-win for all. Yeah.
It's a win, 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 win. Can you tell me now, where would somebody go and have a look at the product online? Where would they be able to buy it from? Um, we will talk about that right now, but for anyone watching and listening, we are going to have all those links in the show notes and in the YouTube description. So if somebody is very keen to have a look and to buy a product and take it to the hairdresser, etc., you'll be able to find that easily through the show notes and also through the YouTube description. But just for the record, Catherine, where would people go?
The easiest one is headbed.com.au. So at headbed, headbed.com.au, because we're an Australian company. And then on there, and our Facebook page, Headbed, the Facebook page, they will have all the information needed to contact our various distributors or even buy online directly, or even contact me, email me. I am so happy to talk and discuss and explain with great pleasure. Yep.
We
Great
are
pleasure.
going to have all of the contact details in the show notes. For the email address, I won't put that in the show notes, but if somebody reaches out directly to me through recoveryafterstroke.com/contact or asks for it on the YouTube comments, what I'll do is I will pass on Catherine's email address just so that we can keep it offline and so that we don't get spam coming through to you for all sorts of weird things.
Well, also our website, they will have my contact details as well.
Even better. Even better. We'll be able to go to the
Facebook page as well.
Yeah. All right. Fantastic. Well, Catherine, thank you so much for reaching out. I really appreciate it. For sharing your product, for sending me one. My wife is going to get one now, and I'm going to sort of try and convince her to take it to the salon from a comfort perspective more than anything.
That's right.
Because I think that if she did take that to the salon from a comfort perspective, that her hairdresser would implement that. Before I go, I just realized I've got these wedges here that we picked up a couple of times. Like, so what's the point of this? What am I supposed to do with this wedge?
The wedge fits into the head platform like a little Lego block.
Under here.
That's right. That's right. And it is designed to make sure that it braces against the inside of the basin. So if my hand is the basin, the little wedge braces against the inside of the basin, and the weight of the head there is supported properly. So
and
the
this,
little, yep.
And this is where the head rests?
The head rests on that little platform here, and the wedge sits inside the basin. That's right, exactly right. And the little suction cups stick underneath the basin, so the headbed doesn't move on the neck curve. And there's 3 levels, 3 heights of adapters. So if a person wants their head further back, they can just quickly put their finger underneath and pull out the little adapter wedge and put a smaller one in, just like so. And it just takes 10 seconds to do, and the hairdresser can carry on with their job. So there we are, designed with great care and attention to the needs of the hairdresser, but more so the need of the clients having their hair washed.
How much does it weigh? Because people will travel with this, right?
About 400 grams.
Okay, so it doesn't add too much to the weight of your carry-on.
Between 380 to 400 grams, not even half a kilo. Yep.
Yeah, awesome.
Yep.
Hey, thank you so much. This is just the kind of thing that I think stroke survivors would love to find out about. I really appreciate your time, and good luck with the product and with the new distributors that you have in the United States.
That's right. Yep, indeed. We're looking forward to growing and making sure that most salon basins are well equipped.
Well, thank you for tuning in to today's episode where we explored the benefits of HeadBed, an innovative head and neck support cushion designed to enhance salon comfort and prevent neck injuries. Whether you're a salon professional or someone looking to improve your hair washing experience, the HeadBed is a game changer in providing ergonomic support and ensuring safety during treatments. For more information on how the HeadBed can revolutionize your salon experience and where you can purchase your own, visit HeadBed's official website. All the links will be available at recoveryafterstroke.com/episodes and in the show notes. Stay up to date with the latest news and benefits by following HeadBed on their social media channels. And remember, taking care of your neck and ensuring comfort during salon visits is crucial. With the HeadBed, you can relax and enjoy your treatments without worrying about discomfort or injury. Thanks again for listening, and we hope you found this information helpful.
Importantly, we present many podcasts designed to give you an insight and understanding into the experiences of other individuals. Opinions and treatment protocols discussed during any podcast are the individual's own experience, and we do not necessarily share the same opinion, nor do we recommend any treatment protocol discussed. All content on this website and any linked blog, podcast, or video material controlled this website or content is created and produced for informational purposes only and is largely based on the personal experience of Bill Gasiamis. The Content is intended to complement your medical treatment and support healing. It is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice and should not be relied on as health advice. The information is general and may not be suitable for your personal injuries, circumstances, or health objectives. Do not use our content as a standalone resource to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease for therapeutic purposes or as a substitute for the advice of a health professional. Never delay seeking advice or disregard the advice of a medical professional, your doctor, or your rehabilitation program based on our content. If you have any questions or concerns about your health or medical condition, please seek guidance from a doctor or other medical professional. If you are experiencing a health emergency or think you might be, call 000 if in Australia, or your local emergency number immediately for emergency assistance, or go to the nearest hospital emergency department. Medical information changes constantly. While we aim to provide current, quality information in our content, we do not provide any guarantees and assume no legal liability or responsibility for the accuracy, currency, or completeness of the content. If you choose to rely on any information within our content, you do so solely at your own risk. We are careful with links we provide. However, third-party links from our website are followed at your own risk, and we are not responsible for any information you find there.